So, this, as Kavalji said, the title, this title sort of came as a byproduct of discussion with Deer Park staff when they requested me to do something. There is one good intention behind this, by the way. And that intention is among the Buddhist circle, especially Mahayana Buddhist, and more especially among the Tibetan Buddhist circle, much is known about Nalanda. I'm sure you know this. Nalanda is praised and Nalanda is mentioned again and again. In fact, I was just telling a scholar in Germany that we should, in the future, celebrate some of the other Buddhist seat and their work, like Otantapuri and Bikramala-shila. And then also, of course, Takshila. Those are very important places. But still, Nalanda, Bikramala-shila, they're all, yes, of course, they're very special. Some Indians go all the way claiming Nalanda probably is the world's first university, so on and so forth. And you can also claim Nalanda University as the most cosmopolitan university, with the attendance of people all the way from Korea, Japan, during those days. That's a big deal. And Nalanda having facility to observe stars and, Nalanda was not just a learning center for what we now refer as Buddhist philosophy. Of course, these universities, they are so special. But there's something so much more special from my point of view and much more unique to Indians. I don't think any other civilizations, they will have this. Any other societies. Something so unique to Indians is the wisdom found in few other places, not just universities. Universities is just full of, people who study. You understand? Full of people who study and read books and discuss. But there are other places, few other places. There's a specific place which is, I forgot the name in Sanskrit, but anyway, I guess, crudely if I translate, you can translate as a brothel house, like prostitute house, right? Like bars, like nightlife kind of thing. Now that, with lots of many reasons, we are not doing it this time. We aspire that in the future we will also, explore the wisdom coming from those places. this, so there's another wisdom lineage that come from what we Tibetan, we call it Dursa or Durta, which is a sort of a translation. Yeah, I think it's a direct translation. Tibetan sort of phonetic transliteration of Sanskrit is very, primitive. So you will have to excuse me. We call it Mahashamasha. But I think in Hindi, in Sanskrit, how do you pronounce? Shamsha? Shamshan, Bhumi. Yeah, Shamshan. Shamshan, I think. Maha is just, in India, everything needs to be glorified. And, everything needs to be made into something little extra. So, but we use the word Mahashamasha Bhumi. So that's quite a really, really unique, I think. Although I have to say, we don't want to be too egoistic. Christians do have some reverence to cemeteries. I'm very obscure about this. I mean, I don't know so much about it, but something to do with the resurrection, and when the time comes, everybody is going to come out or something like this, right? So I'm not going to go there. I don't know. Then for the Chinese, now this is an interesting one. For the Chinese, tomb, or cemetery, I guess. It's such a big deal. There's actually a designated date that almost Chinese usually don't have much holidays. I hope the Chinese are not going to be angry with me. Chinese only, usually human beings have recreation. Indians have endless recreation. Deepavali, puja, this and that, holidays, New Year, of course, all that. Chinese usually have two major recreation, I was told. And that happens every day twice, lunch and dinner. Food is really, really important for the Chinese. I guess the history of China really suffered a lot with hunger and, So there's actually, in fact, I'm sure some of you know, instead of asking, even till today, instead of asking someone, how are you, they actually use the term, have you eaten? You can ask around the Chinese, have you eaten? That is what they ask. But tomb cleaning is a kind of a big deal for the Chinese. Till this day, people go and clean the tomb, the family, whatever, their ancestor. Now this is really interesting, actually. Especially after, all this situation, like geopolitical situation, like the Taiwanese and mainland Chinese, and the Taiwanese have to go to mainland China to clean their ancestral tomb, which happens to be in the place where they are not so friendly with sometimes. It's really interesting. But anyway, Chinese have certain reverence or value towards tomb. I think the term is tomb. But Shamshan, the idea of Shamshan For India, is really different. It's not, I don't know whether even the cemetery, English word cemetery, is doing the justice to translate the word shamshan. It's a really it's a very important symbol, so important symbol. And of course, some of you who have been listening to me in different parts of places, you must be by now tired of me always saying world, for us, for so-called life, there's one thing that is so powerful, and that is called symbolism. Just so powerful. And the Indians, they have to be the master of creating symbolism. They are so good at this. Well, they have been. From now on, I don't know whether they will keep on creating such kind of symbolism. That's why there is a subtitle under the main title, stuff that some people would not understand, right? Sunak and Farid will never understand, something like that. That's just a little bit of a joke with teasing our Indian friends. Symbolism. Okay. Now, for one, most of what I'm saying is based on things that I have learned in mainly, well, of course, in the Sharvakayana and also the Mahayana, and especially in the Vajrayana or the Tantrayana. So obviously, most of the things I'm sharing with you comes from Indian wisdom tradition. There's actually books written about shamshan. Not only that, I was going through my library, and there's even, and some of them, I guess nobody's even interested in these things. So some of them are just handwritten, for old, very old handwritten texts. How to draw and paint cemetery or shamshan. And the big descriptions of different shamshan or tutu. Clear instructions, very detailed instructions, which we will, if we have time, we will discuss later. But first, what is it? What is shamshan symbolizing? Now, again, among many, symbolism, language, of course. One way or another is a big symbolism. And the Sanskrit word, I guess in Hindi too, samsara. What samsara? How do you? What is it? What does actually mean? Samsara. What does it mean? Right, but literal.
Etymologically, it means something which is really seeking.
Samsara. Does it have? Okay.
Sansarati is the real word. The samsara is merely the short of that.
Okay. Tibetans translated that word, and the Tibetans decided to translate using the word khorwa. Khor means going round and round. I don't know whether the samsara has that connotation. Samsara, going round and round and round. Kamsum khorwa, khor. So anyway, that's the Tibetan. Sanskrit is a very, very rich language. So I'm sure there's, like the word dharma. Dharma, now the word dharma is so much hijacked. It has become some sort of a system, right? System, even though that is true. But anyway, one of the kind of important meaning of the word samsara, I guess, because that's how the Tibetan translators in the past, they have decided to, Tibetan translators during those days, 2000 years before, it was not an easy job for them. They really have to study Hindi, Sanskrit. They really had to go through all of that. And finally, they have to, it has to be sort of endorsed by Tibetan kings who were really ruthless. They have to be so careful choosing each word, because the Tibetan king said these words are going to last forever, long time, so you have to really come up with a really good word. So looking back, when I think about these things, it's quite amazing. The word dharma, which is translated into Tibetan as che, that word che it's a really an amazing word. Anyway, samsara, something going round and round. Now, Indian seems to really not like anything to do with the beginning and the end. I don't know, there's some sort of animosity towards edges. Indian seems to never like edges. Like sort of like Indians never like to say, oh, this is good, only good. This is bad and only bad. They say, oh yeah, this is good today, but tomorrow is bad, and then today is bad, tomorrow is good. It's sort of, there's never a clear decision. You understand? There's never like, this is it. You understand this? Indian seems to have that culture. So, ideas such as beginningless, can you now appreciate why the Buddhists keep on talking about beginningless, endless, all that kind of very abstract sort of. So, samsara, which, as you were saying, the existence, we are in samsara. See, now, can you understand why now you should really think in a different way? When we say we are in samsara, I'm a samsaric being. What does it say? What does it mean? You are saying, I'm in a place where I'm going round and round and round and round. I'm somebody who's going round and round and round. I'm somebody who has no beginning, who has no end, And there is so many symbolism that is trying to interpret and explain that. And one of them is supposedly Shamshan, Mahashamshan. And yes, of course, in a bigger or a more tangible form, there is actually Shamshan, or every village. Actually, we have in Bir, we have very near here, right?
Just outside the gate.
Yes, just outside the gate there is Shamshan. There is a Shamshan. And then there is some really special Shamshan, like in Pashupatinath in Nepal, and I guess all the Ghats and especially one Ghat, I forgot the name, in Varanasi, and Mani, Harishchandra, all of this. There's that, and all of that. And then, of course, the Buddhist tantras, they talk about 8 different kinds of shamshan, 8 different cemeteries, which hopefully I will not get too astray and manage to share. I don't know so much, but a little bit. But my purpose of these 2 days is just to give you. It's good to explore some of this wisdom tradition that India used to celebrate. In fact, these great universities that was celebrated, that was patronized and supported by the great kings of India, Maharajas of India, like Nalanda universities. In fact, many of the chancellors and the deans of those universities, great scholars, really, really great scholars, such as Naropa, such as Sarahas, they weren't satisfied with their university life. They were actually teachers. They were presiding over so many great scholars. And yet, many of them secretly at night go to Shamshan to meet some really weird person. Or, in the Saraha's case, go to brothel and meet this lady, and some even volunteer himself as to be a bouncer. When his guru has a customer, then he stands outside, I guess, to protect influx of other customers. There's so many stories like this. So anyway, yes, many of these. Just imagine, Delhi University dean is seen in, brothel, or Delhi University, Jawaharlal Nehru University dean is seen in, talking with some weird person in some shamshan. He will lose job. So that's the kind of a picture we are painting here. So in the Tantra, in the Buddhist Tantra, well, actually also in the Hindu Tantra, and then also different Tantra have a different version. They talk about 8 different kinds of shamshan, mahashamshan. And those 8 shamshans, they have produced some of the most amazing people. But maybe many of their teachings are now extinct. Some are still going on. So that's something that I wanted to say first. The truth of the Shamshan is kind of really important for Buddhists. Now let's begin with Sarvakayana, Theravada, for instance. So nowadays we call them sometimes Theravada. For them, Shamshan or the cemetery is very important. In the sutras, the Buddha have encouraged practitioners to go to cemeteries and look at the nature or the reality of existence. That no matter what, sooner or later, we will be visiting this place. So on and so forth. And not only that, I think monks and nuns were encouraged to look at the decaying body, So because in the Sarvakayana, emphasis is more on seeing the reality of our life, and therefore emphasizing on not, getting so entangled and obsessed with this so-called life, body, possessions, friends, family, house. So, because that's a very important practice in the Sarvakayana or the Theravada, renunciation, so on and so forth. So, I think in the modern Theravada tradition, in the modern day Theravada establishment, such as places like Thailand, Sri Lanka, Burma, Myanmar, I was told that monks, especially younger monks, were, encouraged to visit like hospitals and place they keep, dead bodies. Even today. Okay, so that's the importance of Shamshan in the Mahayana. Now, in the Sarvakayana, Theravada. Then Mahayana. All the same reason as a Sarvakayana, but there are a few extra, Mahayana. Because Mahayana attitude is not so much with this, let's get the hell out of here. It is much grander. And also in the Sarvakayana, emphasis is very much on self-liberation, like pratimoksha, like individual liberation. But in the Mahayana, then so much emphasis on liberation of all sentient beings. Now, I think I've discovered that when the Mahayana today, when they talk about liberating all sentient beings, they understand mainly based on that it is your practice, it is your duty as a Mahayana practitioner. It is my duty to liberate all sentient beings. It is also sort of, because all sentient beings are our, loved ones, so on and so forth, which is correct. Which is, I'm not saying this is wrong. It's very correct. But I think many Mahayana students, practitioners, they also miss one very big one. Mahayana don't understand difference between all and one. One, me, liberate, and all, not much difference. In fact, Mahayana people think, just to liberate myself, only me, self-liberation, that Mahayana thinks is a contradiction from the very fundamental idea of liberation. The Mahayana have a much more, because Mahayanas think all is made up by people. And all, therefore, has all, the word all, and the meaning all, is just a hallucination. It's a projection. It's a, it's not scary at all. Because Mahayana, if you don't understand this, I think it can be quite daunting. Wow, all beer people, am I supposed to enlighten all of them? This is like about few thousand. But Mahayana don't have, fundamentally Mahayana have this all one. They don't make much difference. So there's that. There's that. Plus, then there's all the relative bodhicitta, which is, going to the cemetery. We are talking about cemetery. We are talking about shamshan. Going there and really, really understanding suffering of the sentient beings, fear of the sentient beings, and practicing such as, the bodhicitta of exchanging oneself and others, so on and so forth. So that's sort of the Mahayanas, very, very briefly, the Mahayanas' appreciation towards Shamshan. But we are going to dwell more on that Vajrayana's Shamshan, Vajrayana's idea of Shamshan, because I think there lies this unique Indian thinking. Okay. First, I guess, okay. I don't know how to begin this. Should we begin right from the top, or should we begin right from the bottom? I don't know. And especially, Indians, they don't know what is the real top and what's the real, sort of, they can't. Okay, this is because, I'm only asking because, how many of you have heard word shunyata? Okay. Then I will begin from the top, since you have already heard. So, do you know what is Mahashamshan? Shunyata. That is the grand cemetery. That is where, yes, that is the grand cemetery. Okay, so just keep that in your head somewhere. We will come back to this. Because I'm sure when you hear the word Shunyata is the grand Mahashamshan, then you will immediately conclude, oh yeah, of course, we are all going to dissolve into shunyata. No, not really, not that easy. It's not that easy. It's very complicated. In fact, I would say, the very fact that you drank a coffee this morning, or you are about to drink a coffee, the very fact that you put on your jacket proves that you are a shamshan being. Shamshan being. This is what the tantric people think. So, we will come back to this. It's a little, what do you call it, grand, but the whole point is so that you guys will explore explore this. Okay, now let's go right to the bottom. I've already told you what the top shamshan, right? Let's go to the right to the bottom of the shamshan. And forgive my pronunciation. And maybe, some of them I don't know where, I can't really locate. But remember, I said, okay, so okay, right the bottom level of shamshan. In the Tantra, there's 8. I think one that I can easily designate and point out is Agron Mada. Do you know? That's a supposedly Sanskrit word, but maybe, I'm not pronouncing this well. But anyway, in Tibetan, we translate this as ha gopa. Ha gopa means like ha, laughter. Gopa, the wildly laughing, that's one. And do you know where that is? Right next to Mahabodhi temple in Bodh Gaya. You can go there. I've drank so many chai. We used to have a chai shop there, but I think they kicked them out. CRP kicked them out, I think. Yes. It was really dirty. It was really, all the garbages they throw there, but there's also a chai shop, and it is kind of a really special place. We did so many tsok. There is also a sort of a pavilion, and inside the pavilion there is quite an old, probably hundreds of years old mandala, and some say it's a Kalachakra mandala. And there is so many endless stories about this, this channel ground or cemetery, Hahagyopa. Jamansin Chokulode, when he went to Bodh Gaya, this is like in the mid-1950s, he went to Bodh Gaya temple, and those days, nobody goes there. Temple is not even built properly. He did all the, practice and all that. And then he went to this place, Hahagyopa. It's a, this channel ground. And when he was there, suddenly out of nowhere, an Indian, sort of a sadhu-like, came with a long white beard, really, really good-looking, giant, old sadhu, but very majestic. He came and sat there for some time. And Khyentse Chogyalodro immediately told his attendant, I think we are missing something here. I think the Mahakala is visiting us. We need a Mahakala puja. We need to do Mahakala puja. In fact, quite an elaborated one. But those days they were traveling, so they have no tax. So then they were searching. Nearby there's a Gelupa monastery. And then like only few monks who weren't that educated also, just, ordinary monks. So Khyentse Chogyalodro sent his monk to ask whether the monastery has Kanjur and Tenjur, the Buddhist canon. And the attendant went there and said, I need to look at your Tenjur. And the monks asked, why? Said, because we want to do a Mahakala puja. So the monks told them, in the Tenjur there is no Mahakala puja. Because usually the Mahakala pujas and all of that is done separately. There's, you don't go to the original Buddhist canon. But of course, Khyentse Chogyalodro knew that many of the Mahakala and Mahakalis, praise and offerings written by great Indian tantrikas, such as Nagarjuna actually, and Aryadeva, many of them are in the Tenjur, the Shastras, or how to call it, and using that, Khyentse Chogyalodro did elaborated Mahakala puja, especially Mahakala puja, four-face Mahakala. And if you look at in the Sakya tradition, four-face Mahakala is usually painted. The most external form of the four-face Mahakala is painted as a sadhu, like a long white beard. Stuff like that. So many stories about this Mahagyopa. Okay. Then there is Ishvaravana. Anybody has any clue? That's also quite near Bodh Gaya. I think some people call it Cool Grove. Have you been to Silvitsal? Big. This is a big cemetery again. This is an important cemetery. And then now these are quite agreed by many tantrikas, without much dispute, these two. The only others, where they are geographically, there is a different version. So, if you go to South India, I think, there is a place called Rameshwari. Yes. Nearby that is a cemetery called Sound of Kili Kili. So they, the names of these cemeteries are very, what do you call it? Not necessarily poetic also, very raw and, for instance, Bhairava Nadakara, which is many lamas think is in Nepal. And of course, there's a lot of different version. One that is most popular, I have been myself. But in English, I guess you can translate that as the gloomy cemetery or a general ground. So anyway, there are 8 different, so gruesome, terrifying, blazing sound, and dense forests, and Ishvaravana, I think we have already mentioned, gloomy, kili, and wildly laughing. That's near the Buddhagaya. Okay. So that is the most bottom level of defining the 8 cemeteries. Okay? Now, let's upgrade ourselves a little bit. Okay, this is the most symbolic, what I just said. So a little bit now higher, quite a lot higher actually. Quite a lot higher cemetery. So what are they? Okay, this you will understand, but quite high. List of cemeteries, okay? List of general ground. Shamshan. Number 1, eye consciousness, ear consciousness, nose consciousness, tongue consciousness, body consciousness. And then mental consciousness. And then how many already? 2, yes. And then well, it's very difficult to translate in English, but manas, which is mana vajrayana. We will come back to here. Anyway, let's call it ego consciousness for now. Okay? Ego, identity, self, channel ground. And then alaya, which is like ground or the base of all this consciousness. So these are 8 what do you call it? Cemeteries. Now, to make a little bit of a sense, according to the Tantra, you need to understand this way. Tantric think that when these 8 consciousness, at the moment for you and me, these eight cemeteries, pay attention to this one. Tantric things, these 8 cemeteries for now, for you and me, for now, unfortunately, they are balanced. Unfortunately, balanced. They are not going, what do you call it, haywire? They are not going haywire. That's why you are having a bearable so-called life. Just managing to, So let's think about this. Okay. So, I couldn't, get a proper word, but anyway, visually, when you look at me right now, I don't think you will think you are hallucinating, even though you are actually hallucinating. That's, okay, so hallucination, visual hallucination. And then, when you hear the sound, like those kids, whatever, actually you are having auditory hallucination. But because it's bearable, that's why, like birds chirping is not freaking you out. There's many things now. Let's just go through the list. Then, what do you call it? Olfactory hallucination, gustatory hallucination, tactile hallucination. That's all I could find out. Alaya hallucination, ego hallucination, I can't find a proper word for you. But anyway, I think you know now. So it's a bit like this. Like, I don't know, this just come in my mind. Sorry, I have to use this example. I can't find any other words. So, for instance, if you take a video of me like this way, camera pointing to me like this, and you cut and then have picture of Mount Kailash, and then when you run through, you will think that I'm looking at Mount Kailash. Create the hallucination, right? Likewise, you can do the sound editing, which is also really, really fascinating, right? So, sound editing and sound mixing. So, if that distant bird chirping is not mixed well, let's say bird chirping sounds like from the top of my head, it doesn't really work. It feels like, oh, that's not realistic. We call it realistic. This is why I use the word, unfortunately, it's kind of balanced. That's why we feel we are okay. Like my face is not too close to you. So it's bearable. Like those sounds are not too loud. So it's bearable. When these gets little bit unbalanced, then first you consider yourself sick, physically sick, then of course mentally sick. Then you have things, oh, somebody's talking in my head. I can hear, ringing voice or noise, so on and so forth, all the hallucination starts. I'm trying to explain the tantric definition of shamshan. It's basically, at the moment you are not really seeing this as a shamshan because it's sort of seemingly balanced. If you want to prove yourself, go for a drink tonight. I would not recommend literally, but just for example, few glasses of some cheap whiskey will do it. It will actually sort of disorganize that seeming balance. And then suddenly you will feel very bold. Suddenly you will feel very creative. Suddenly you will feel very shameless. I don't know. Suddenly you will feel like it's okay to walk around naked. I'm describing channel ground. That's how it is. Dead body. But and human beings so strange, they paint dead bodies' face, right? Like put the lipsticks on and put it properly. Because the clinging, clutch towards this balance is just too much. It's just so much. This comfort on having this, balance is so much. Do we need to take break? What? It's 7:30? Oh, okay. Okay, so that's sort of the very, quite a high level of talking about shamshan, okay? The highest one I've already told you, and that's like really too vast. Too vast. Now, let's not talk the highest. We already talked the lowest. We talked quite a higher one. Let's talk one or few steps higher than that. And this is an important one. And I wanted to tell you this because many of you are, many of you are somehow attracted to word samadhi, right? Meditation, mindfulness, I don't know, vipassana, I don't know. Many of you, yoga, yes, that's it. I've actually put it in the list. Yoga. Of course, this, asana, even the word asana, by the way. Oh, that's it. I don't know what the word, the asana means pose, right? Posture. Yeah, this, one of the connotation of the word asana also has it in Tibetan, we also sometimes translate this as a den. It's like a mat where you sit on. Again, if you want to understand the ground, asana, ground, posture. I think the yoga people should tell you this, like no matter what kind of, what kind of, like yoga you do, you should not lose your asana, posture. I don't know whether they say this. That is actually quite a big statement in the vajrayana. You are not supposed to lose that. Now this is directly related to, again, the channel ground. But anyway, since a lot of you are interested in samadhi, hopefully, samadhi meditation, so I want to talk about this channel ground on this level. I'm sure you have lots of thoughts, incredible amounts, all the time, even now as we speak. One comes, another, so many thoughts comes. Have you ever thought about this fact that all thoughts dies? And when you die, what happens? Channel ground. So every, all thought, every moment there is a dissolution, crudely speaking, death, passing. This, taking advantage of this, capitalizing this, should be the backbone of your samadhi, actually. Instead, a lot of people are longing for stability of mind. Longing for stability of the mind is the opposite of, actually you want to live. You want to you want to live. You want to continue. You want to hold on. You want to become lump. Like very gross. You understand? A lump. Like a thing. And I think because there's been so many marketing for stability, and also, by the way, I myself do those marketing because this is necessary. We have to. I myself is also a victim of these marketing, and I also market this. Anyone who is new here, I will say, don't think about the past too much. Don't think about the future too much. Whatever is there right now, just look at this. That's sort of the basic fundamental vipassana instructions. But if we are talking about a more profound level of Mahashamashana, then sort of a longing for, or the being able to capitalize, take advantage of your ever dying thought is like a door to the abundance, door to the wisdom, or whatever you want to call it. So rich. It's like incredible. And also free, thar, liberation. And if you can sort of comprehend this, you will then understand when the Tantrikas say liberation is possible within this life. That is not a marketing story. It is the fact. It's not just made up. If you know, it's there with you. So this, I'm sharing it because, you know, after all, after hearing the, you know, Mahashamashana, you know, you should be able to, what do you call it? Use it as something practical. Okay, now some descriptions. This is from, and some of this can be really, really abstract, and for most of you maybe it doesn't mean much, but just hear it out. Painfully, with a lot of attention, the masters of the past have described them, talked about them. I'm not going to go through all of them because they're kind of similar, and probably for you it also doesn't mean much. Few of them. Okay. Now, let's go to the bottom. Description, okay? The highest general ground description, I can't do it this time, because that one is done between really, really special, specially connected student and the teacher. I've said this many times, like Telopa and Naropa. After something like 12 years of asking, Naropa asking Telopa to teach, and Telopa somehow sort of insinuating that there is something to teach, and Naropa hungrily waiting, and going through all sorts of hardship. Out of nowhere, after 12 years, one day Telopa grabbed Naropa's, chest and said, "Look, I have nothing to teach you." And then that's it. Naropa got it. Everything. So that level we need to we need to have. Me grabbing your chest, I don't think it's going to do it. So we can go on the most bottom level of defining this some of the cemeteries or the channel ground. Okay. The gruesome cemetery. Each cemetery has a distinctive qualities. For instance, they all have a distinctive tree. This gruesome channel ground has arura. What is arura in arura medicine? You know that? Arura? Arura. Yeah. Tree. Okay? And Lord, each channel ground also has its own sort of Lord, or I don't know, like the boss. Now, of course, you can always take this as just some mythology or some stories. Yes, you can do it. But if you are really into this channel 8 channel ground, there is detailed explanations and practices, sadhanas, how to relate to this, how to relate, bribe, I don't know, how to anyway communicate with these lords. Anyway, there is this lord of this gruesome channel ground, and he has a human body but elephant face. I don't think it's Ganesh, it's just this special being. And usually he sits on the top of this arura tree. At the bottom of the tree is Lord of the direction. Okay, there are two lords. The first lord is the Lord of the channel ground. Now the 8 channel ground also supposedly are divided into 8 directions. So the gruesome channel ground, or the Mahashamashan, is mainly in the east. Okay? So the Lord sitting on the tree with the elephant face, and at the bottom of the tree is Indra. Of course, has to be, right? From India. Indra. And he, in his right hand, well, is a vajra, but I think it's a thunder, like a thunder maker. Probably it's him who's doing this today. And he has a ride, a special ride, which is an elephant. Just let's finish this. And then in that channel ground, there is a snake, really special snake, yellow snake. His name is Basuki. They even have names, not just ordinary. Then there is also a very special cloud that's always hovering over this cemetery. There's so many stories about these clouds. Not just ordinary clouds. Anyway, name of this cloud is Dado, the sound maker, something like that. And the color of this cloud is blue. And then there is, so important, sort of eternal flame, or channel ground. You have to, have a fire to lit, and this very special fire, always burning, blue fire. Okay, that's one of the 8 channel ground. Okay. Gopa, the laughter channel ground, Bodh Gaya. Yeah, I'm going to talk about that since something that we can relate.
Related to the first one, the one that
We don't know. We don't know. But there are people, lamas, who has been relentlessly doing a lot of research. I can ask them, but some of them are like disappeared, gone. I mean, not disappeared, but just forgotten. Because this is why we are doing this time, at least some sort of introduction that, there's something called the wisdom tradition coming from the channel ground. Because if you don't do that, even what we know, we will lose it. I haven't even begun to talk about the masters. Okay, Hahagopa. That's in the Changshar, northeast. Well, from what point of view we will discuss if you want, but maybe not that important. Anyway, Hahagopa. And there is a tree, and the tree is Nagroda. But many lamas also say is the Bodhi tree that we go into prayers. That's the special tree. And Lord of that channel ground always laughs. That's why it's called Hahagopa, the laughter channel ground. And the Lord, again, human body, but buffalo head. White buffalo. And at the bottom of the tree is a Ragaraja, blue color, and he's holding a Trishula. Sometimes we do this puja when we go to Bodh Gaya, just to sort of tell him, just, don't get too mad if he step over your toes or something like this. And then Ragaraja is mounting a buffalo. And then there is a special snake. The name of the snake is the holder of the conch, yellow color. And then above the channel ground, Hahagopa, is a cloud. The name of the cloud is Angry One. And then there's a eternal, or what do you call it, forever fire in the channel ground that has no color, invisible, so to speak. Okay, maybe we take a break. Yeah. How are you? You should be kind of feeling kind of happy with this weather. it comes to grace? How do you spell it?
S-A-V-I.
S-A?
V-I. Savvy. Yep. Or S-A-V-Y, perhaps. Yep.
Which one?
Savvy. Comes from the French, to know.
Yeah,
Savoir would be the...
this one?
No, that's for the French, but to be savvy.
Okay, so continuing with Mahashamashan. Now, to discuss this, to understand a little bit about Shamashan, I think it will help us to understand the concept of Kushala. And I was trying to get a proper translation of the word Kushala. Sanam, which is translated as merit. But I don't know whether the merit, the word, English word merit does the job. This Kushala and Akushala is, I don't know, somehow the word savvy seems to ring the bell. To me, I like this word better than merit. Savvy. What does it tell you, the word savvy? When I use the word savvy, what does it do to you? Clever? Yeah, it could be. I don't know. So anyway, like all most of the Sanskrit word, it's really difficult. Proficient, skillful. Anyway, it's much more than that. Okay, but before this, I need to tell you this. This may be not only India, but this may be also with the Chinese wisdom tradition. From the little bit of readings I have done, they seem to have this value. Anyway, yes, of course. When you enter in a Buddhist school or a Buddhist path, obviously they will have to tell you, you need to do hearing, contemplation, meditation, because there's no, choice. That's the only way for the human beings. But so a lot of time is spent on this, hearing, contemplation, and meditation. The word hearing, contemplation, and meditation has this, the world of hearing, contemplation, and meditation is very connected to cultivating. So when you are hearing, you collect information, isn't it? You basically collect reading, hearing. And when you contemplate, it is also the world of collection and, gathering, critical thinking, so on and so forth. And then meditation, gom, thosam gom, which samadhi, which is very debatable, whether it's entirely, this is where the Indian thinking, and as I said, I have a feeling that the Chinese ancient wisdom, like a Taoism, they seem to also they seem to be very similar to the Indians, but I don't know much. But anyway, I don't know how to put this in a very crude and simple form. Basically, the Indians does seem to make a big difference between being intelligent and having prajna. That I'm sure you by now may have noticed. Having intelligence is like a tool, and tool is, as usual, is never the end, is only the means. And many times our masters and the teachings give us a lot of warning about the tools. As much as they give you tools, oh, you should sit straight, you should breathe normally, you should look at here, look at there, you should not eat this, you should eat this, so on and so forth. But actually, if the master is good, equal amount of warning should be given. It's like ideally we should be saying, you should sit straight. Immediately the master should say, but shouldn't make a big deal out of that. But that's difficult. You understand? Because the students will get so confused. So the master has to spend a lot of time telling students to sit straight, which then ends up becoming an end, not just means. Obviously, if sitting straight is the path to enlightenment, we should just go to South Korea and change our spine. Enlightenment is very important business. I can sacrifice bending down if I can get enlightenment. But you understand? But this is a challenge with the Indian wisdom tradition. When you apply to, and when we say apply the method, do you know what that means? It means I don't know how to express this. It actually means rubbing shoulder with habitual patterns. It means hanging around with habitual patterns. It means making friends with the habitual pattern, but simultaneously annoying the habitual patterns. It's a difficult job. If you are applying a proper path, your habitual pattern right from the day one feels suspicious. Whatever you're doing, they should, they should feel suspicious. But many times, our habitual patterns ends up becoming very cozy with our means. All our habit, not only they become cozy, they actually take over. And then our means ends up becoming a trouble. So that's something that I will need to just tell you. Sort of, yes, the wisdom is different. I think is different. It's not, wisdom, someone who has the wisdom doesn't mean they are smart. They don't even care. These Mahasiddhas, they don't care whether you are smart or not. It's like, okay, you know how to hold chopsticks? Sure, but I know how to eat with my hands. Nothing, it's like that level. Being smart, being how much you have learned, it doesn't make much. But how much can one actually dwell or embrace or live with the wisdom, which of course is a very, again, I'm using the word wisdom, prajna, the Tibetan word ye, she, which is actually a really, really brilliant translation, because the word ye means before, in the beginning. She means knowing. So what does this say? It sort of has the connotation of a knowing that is before knowing. So knowing that has nothing to do with the subject and object. Just and then all the what is paramita stuff. I'm talking about that. Anyway, I was talking about Kushala. This is something that to understand. I don't know how to put this. Why are we emphasizing so much on, especially in the Tantra, these cemeteries? And when I say emphasize, literally, although the tradition is dying, almost dead. Nowadays, people do pujas, retreats in the retreat center, for instance. Caves. Cave is already very cowardly. Cave, retreat hut is very, very cowardly already. Actually, ideal place is channel ground. You read all the life stories of the Mahasiddhas who graduated from the channel ground. They don't boast about having been in a cave. They think, cave? That's like a kindergarten stuff. It's like a meditation center is like a pre-kindergarten stuff. That's what they think. Because these people, they hate being normal. These Mahasiddhas. They think like normal? That is like a voluntary imprisonment. You want to be normal? What do you mean? Really? Are you sure? You think about it carefully, They will say that. And then when they look at you trying to be so normal, they cannot understand. They just get like puzzled. Okay, but so let's go to the Sharvakayana, right? Sharvakayana, Theravada tradition. They talk a lot about Kushala and Akushala. And it's a really, really, of course now, if you go to many of the Theravadins, they talk in the context of merit, accumulation of merit. So, for instance, one of the most visible and a beautiful tradition in a place like Myanmar is like a monk will come early in the morning with a begging bowl, silently, and all the villagers, the householders, they will offer the alms, and that's like Kushala, that's like the day's accumulation of Kushala. But of course, as I said, the Kushala in this case, it's difficult because merit, it can be understood, and this is what a lot of the people understand this way, merit, accumulation of merit. So we already think in terms of piggy bank. You understand? Accumulation. Actually, Kushala should be understood as dismantling. You understand? Dismantling, shooing away, like wiping, mopping out, detergent. You understand? Equally, it means equal thing. So when the cloud gets blown away, the sun shines. So Kushala, from this angle, if you can understand the Kushala or the good karma, let's use the word good karma. I think that's the common language, right? Good karma, bad karma. In the context of blowing away what? Quest for being smart. Blowing away that, then the wisdom, the jhana, prajna, has a chance to be itself. Right now, we never give jhana, the wisdom, chance. Supposedly, between each thoughts, like a dog barking and a bird chirping, there's a jhana and prajna. So not just waiting, I think it's more than waiting, it's like its presence, it's trying to make you feel its presence so strongly. But we have become so good at getting entangled with all the, references. So, and also it's really, really scary, I guess, Again, I'm using right words. Scary is an important word because, channel ground. Why are we so scared of a cemetery? Although I actually like Christian cemeteries. I always find it so nice. I don't know why. Gardens and all those flowers, all the names, all the words like "you will be missed" and all of that. I don't know. But we do have a certain prejudice towards cemeteries, channel ground. Okay, so in the Sharvakayana, the whole path is really designed to, use the word gather, Kushala, one big part. Of course, Sharvakayana teaches us anatta, selflessness. Without the anatta, selflessness, there is no ground for Kushala. Impossible. You cannot build merit. You cannot purify defilements. So that's one way to understand. And for that, yes, hearing, contemplation is done. And then in the Mahayana, similar but much grander view, as I've explained earlier. Now, for the Tantra, this jhana and prajna, or the wisdom, supposedly is acquired or accomplished or get hold of through, of course, the highest level, such as Mahamudra and Mahasandhi, is by not engaging with all the distinctions. But let's forget that for now. But or the general Tantra practitioner, they try to engage face to face with 8 consciousness we were talking earlier. 8 consciousness. So, and that is done through a lot of different things, different ways. Again, I'm getting distracted. I was saying, literally, there are practitioners, even today, there are some cemeteries that are known as the ancient channel ground. One is supposed to go there, and at the least, if you don't have that much of courage, if you are not that, if you still have a lot of hang-ups, but you still do have a lot of aspiration to do this and to realize the prajna, but your habit, your culture, I don't know, your hang-up still strong, at least you can go to these channel grounds as a holy site. That's what I wanted to say. So there's a whole practice of pilgrimage to 8 cemeteries. As I said, not so much now. But the word pilgrimage is also quite important, because it can be literal pilgrimage, such as going to Bodh Gaya. Of course, in Bodh Gaya's case, we get 2 things done. There is a Sharvakayana and the Mahayana shrine of the Bodhi tree where Buddha was enlightened. Just about 20 steps away, you have the channel ground, Hahagyopa, the laughter, like wild laughter channel ground. And there, just going there and sitting there on the most outer level, this is something we could do. Of course, depending on how matured you are becoming. As you get more matured, there are many different rituals that you can do. I guess beginning with offering, let's say, food. Food is the most, safe. Offering food is probably the most safe. I mean, from your side also, like it's something that you can exercise. Giving food to birds, giving food to people there. And then slowly upgrading your ritual all the way to mingling with the fellow channel ground dwellers. Supposedly, there are a lot. I think in India you still find, especially places like Varanasi, there's many practitioners. Like in Varanasi, there are like Agori, practitioners, then mingling with them. And then, so those practices are very venerated. Whole, lineage got established in Tibet, called Shije lineage, which the teachings are sort of still alive today. Mainly, a lot of them are collected by a great master called Jamgon Kongtrul with the help of Jamgon Khyentse Wangpo, and it exists in that cycle of what we call Damga Dze, the collection of advices. In there you will find. But anyway, popularly you will know these teachings as Che, which is like a coming from masters such as Machik Labdun, a very special lady, and also from Patamba Sangye. Whole thing. It's rapidly disappearing. I still remember when I was young, my mother's father, my grandfather, who also was an avid practitioner of Che, will have people coming to him towards the evening, and they would all lie down in front of him as if they are dead. He will tell them, okay, now you think you are dead. You pretend that you are dead. And they will all lie down there, and then he will do Che. The whole Che practice consists of basically dealing with the eight consciousness. Because apart from the eight consciousness, there is no such thing as life or so-called living. So this idea of living, me, I'm living here, I'm sitting here, you are sitting there, living. What is it? It's just remember, unfortunate, seemingly balancing act of eight consciousness. What is dying? Fortunately, eight consciousness just beginning to unbalance, fortunately. But of course, that depends on who you are. I use the word fortunately for those who have a little bit of information about this. Then, if you have that kind of information and training, when you are dying, when you are beginning to see things in a different way, when you are beginning to hear things that, like right now, because we are so balanced, we don't hear the sound of, probably there's a snail in the trees moving, but we don't hear because we are so balanced. When we are dying or close to death, like final death, all kinds of sound and visions and I don't know, imbalance. When that happens, then you, as a practitioner, as a yogi, you will consider, now a fortunate thing is happening because I'm beginning to be imbalanced. This is the chance to grab. Because, remember, I gave you the list of hallucination, eye consciousness, ear consciousness, And reason why fortunate. Okay, so your question is, why should I consider fortunate? Because you want to know your basic ground, which is termed in the Mahayana as the Buddha nature, and in the vajrayana as many, many, many labels, as a chakra sambara, as a vajrayogini, as a vajravarahi, as this and that. Many, many labels, but anyway, the basic ground, luminous, emptiness, whatever you want to call it. In that ground, a little bit more on that, about that ground. In that ground, luminosity, I don't know, all these names can be quite distracting, but anyway, I will use the word ground. In that ground, there is no time. Do you know that? There's no time. So if there is no time, there is no future. If there is no future, there is no end. So why should you be afraid? The only reason why we are afraid of death is because you think it's an end. But that does not mean that you should be so optimistic. Because there's no also beginning. But you should be really free, because what a bliss you will have when you are finally free from this prison of past and the future and the now. I know a lot of us, we are kind of fairly sober to realize that, okay, last night's dream is just a dream. Although it was kind of exciting and kind of disturbing, whatever, it was at least a dream. Then in the Buddhist teachings like this, we have been told that life is illusion, life is a dream. It's sort of convincing logically, but emotionally not. But through the practice, slowly you realize, yes, it's actually just a cause and conditions put together, and then an experience comes, and then this experience I cling, and then this experience ends up becoming very solid. This much you will understand emotionally. But there are some things that you will still not let go. Some things. I will give you two things. One really, really, really difficult to get rid of, and the other quite difficult, but not the most vicious. One, not the most vicious, is time. It's really... actually, let me give you three. I will give you three. Top level, secondary, and third level. Okay? The third level, you can accept, oh yeah, everything is an illusion, everything, all of this you can sort of accept, but to forget, to really understand, there's another being. You understand? There's another being. No, that can't be illusion, because there's another being here. Okay? I'm not finished. There's another being. That's a difficult one. Okay, everything is illusion, but this, no, can't be. But there's another being. That's a difficult to get rid of. And then there's me. That's a really difficult one. Difficult to realize this is an illusion. That's illusion, but this is illusion. Okay, so that's the number three. Number two, more difficult, is time. Past, present, and the future. This is, I don't know why. Even Mr. Einstein have said it's a relative. But still we act as if it is ultimate. This is a difficult one, to get rid of the notion of beginning and really difficult. That's the second one. Now the most difficult one, samsara and the nirvana. That's a really difficult one. Because we all are wanting enlightenment, right? Why are you here anyway? To hear Dharma. For what? For nirvana. Now I'm telling you it doesn't exist. Now I'm telling you samsara doesn't exist. You are not, okay, maybe intellectually you can accept, but emotionally, to go beyond this samsara nirvana distinction, it's absolutely difficult. Really, this Indian wisdom is just incredible, incredible. If it got somehow introduced into, kindergarten level of schooling and, like timelessness, and then this sort of, it would really make a big difference in everything, the way we live. This is why there's a mention about Sunak and Farid. In case, I'm trying to justify my title here. I need to... Really, this is so important. Just imagine, if there is a little bit of this notion that, even on the intellectual level, of course, intellectual level, it makes a difference, big difference. Just like Ethiopian coffee and Colombian coffee, it's an intellectual level first. And then, as you drink more, you end up actually becoming so fussy. Dark roast, medium roast, you become so fussy. It has to be served this way, that way. You become so fussy. At least. Okay, I'm getting again distracted. So, 8 cemeteries, going to 8 cemeteries. And by the way, 8 cemeteries, remember 8 actual cemeteries, like Hagyoba, but 8 consciousness, which is the real cemeteries. And because of that, all existing cemeteries like the one that's behind us, and now if you want to be even more flexible and more true to the truth, wherever you live and breathe and walk is a cemetery. You are actually kind of a zombie. Really. Sort of, just because you are unfortunately balanced, you are not referred as a zombie. That's it. So this, wherever, just having that attitude, like I like going to Varanasi, those gods. The reason, I was reading this book about Varanasi. This was a long time ago. Probably it's changed now. When this book mentioned that 1 out of 3 Varanasi dwellers are there to die, waiting for death. And when I was reading this, I was in this boat in the Ganges. And then I look at all these people. Not the Japanese photographers, not the Indians. So my mind is already like, is he waiting for the death? He must be here to die. So on and so forth. And then I encountered these hotels. They have hotels where you can only check in, never check out. Mukti Bhavan, right? Mukti Bhavan and all of that. It was just the fact that knowing that intellectually, of course, not completely, I'm not, it doesn't stay there whole time, but wow. Just imagine, 1 out of 3 Singaporeans are there to die, consciously. Orchard Road will be different. Orchard Road, right? In Singapore, there's a road called Orchard Road. Just imagine. They have moved from Malaysia, from Indonesia, from America to die. The Singapore will smell different. Singapore will act different. It's just amazing, the power of the acceptance. There, like quite a lot of people are there accepting they are dying. And I am sure there are a lot of people who are there waiting to die and never die for 10 years. Meanwhile, their family members who thought they are not going to die have been dead. Of course. But this is so amazing, isn't it? It's recently I went to Varanasi again. There's a new Gath, by the way, something like Modi Gath or something. What? Namo Gath or something like that. Yeah. Somewhere inside I have this fear, oh my goodness, they are going to clean this up. I don't know, is there any world sort of body where we could actually apply, can you please not clean up Varanasi? Maybe I don't know, just that whole thing. And then at night, all the, not many, but there are few, they say they are Agora practitioners, there's a few ladies, by the way. They're really amazing ones. So, it was really different. It's really different. It's different. The thing is this. I think there are more people who have accepted they are going to die in Varanasi than some of the small hospice that I have visited. Hospice, right? There people go there also sort of, but I have a feeling they haven't accepted that they are going to die. They're just going to hospice. It's a little bit different, isn't it? But in Varanasi, they've gone there. And surely this kind of practice of accepting I'm going there to die has something to do with, I don't know, this is just me thinking, the Indian wisdom tradition related to some of this tantric stuff. Nekor, pilgrimage. It's like one ultimate pilgrimage. It's like a really, really important pilgrimage. I will let you ask some questions because I need to know whether we are communicating.
Why do you have a problem of cleaning Varanasi?
My very twisted romance towards this place. It's a strange thing. I really don't want to have, like Starbucks, There is already? Yes. But I think I can rest assured. I don't think it's going to be happen. What?
On a serious note, I wanted to ask about when you're doing your channel rounds and decaying reality, I want to bring in light to something that I'm very passionate about is addressing climate change and pollution. So, in the context of viewing the world as a channel ground, how do you see that at a concern of today's world?
Related to pollution, did you say?
Yes, pollution and decaying.
What's the question? We should not burn them? Is that what you are saying?
Of that sort, like things are decaying.
Actually, according to the channel ground, all this tantra stuff, I think we have stopped doing the best of the best, burial, which is, I think maybe in Tibet they still do sky and then the wind burial, supposedly one of the best for the land, for the people. So what we do now is what? Water, fire, and the earth. The sky burial may be in Tibet, still in east part of Tibet, still they do that. And wind burial, which is basically putting the body on a stick and let the wind take care of it. In a world full of Farid and Sunak, it will not happen. Wait. Here. Yeah. In this context of the eternal ground,
I mean,
or generally?
you talk about how we different our habitual patterns, and at the same time we like kind of threaten them or something. I don't remember which word you used.
It's a very, very big question, what you are saying. There's a whole range of what do you call it, methods. I think the methods beginning looking at habitual pattern as enemy, right? And then gradually looking at the habitual pattern as friend. I'm serious. Really, I'm serious. I can't exactly get the shaloka. I have now obtained Joe Biden disease. Can't remember things now. More wood on fire means more fire. You understand? It's a really good example. It's from the Madhyamika Avatara. They use this. It's a beautiful analogy. Fire and the firewood. You know, the experience of fire is basically, it's a very interesting, because firewood is making the fire grow more, right? But the fire is making the wood less as it burns. So in that context, you can understand why habitual pattern can be friend. But that we hear it only after a little while. Because first you have to you better say, don't bring too much wood. Too much wood will kill my small fire, like this. And then, towards the end, so there's a whole range of that method. And then towards the end, really not making any difference between so-called habitual mind and the wisdom mind. That's a big one. But anyway, practically for now, a really practical one. It's important that I give you something practical, which is something that you can practice. Ideally, we should do a test. You know, what do they call it? IF something. What do you call it? The personality test. What do you call it? Miles? Yes. I think it's kind of interesting, that one. But anyway, I wanted to ask you basically, okay, your question is how to handle with the habitual patterns. So my answer will be, first, what kind of person are you? Are you somebody who likes to fix things? Are you a fixer? Or are you a cleaner? Are you a, what do you call it? Pack rat? Hoarder? Collector. Anyway, depending on that. So, two things I will tell you. One, learn to freeze. So, let's say you are turning this page And this is really for the beginners. And then you are turning this page, freeze for one moment. I'm serious. I think this is really good. Freeze. Then next time you apply this to, you have the habit of, let's say, getting angry or getting suspicious or getting anxious. Your body, your emotion, your cognition all freeze. Just for a few seconds. You understand? So that's one. So that's, I think, more for fixers, if you are a fixer. Now, if you are a hoarder, like a romantic hoarder, then pray. Pray to the Buddha, please. I have so much habit. I just don't know. I'm more like that. I hate this freezing. Freeze, I can't do it. I'm more like, oh please, can you please help me? I need to really deal with these habitual patterns. It actually is quite good because when you do that, you are already accepting that you have a habitual pattern. And that is already a baby awareness. That's actually vipassana. What is vipassana? Vipassana means laktong, meaning seeing the truth, right? Now, if you accept and know that I have a habit, that's already quite good. That's like accepting. It's a small vipassana already. So that's how you begin. Okay, anyone? Yeah, here.
I'm sitting in company of so many experienced practitioners, so I'm a little conscious. Yeah, so what I want to ask is, what is, two questions. One is, what is tikle in the Buddhist practice?
Tikle?
Tikle, T-I,
Yeah.
tikle. And the second one is, you spoke in one of your videos, I heard that you spoke about individualism not being possible. And
I see. Okay. In this context that we have been discussing, the Mahasamachana, Tikle can be understood by the grand cemetery. Tikle actually means also circle. Remember, right at the beginning, I was sort of teasing our Indian friends here. Indians seem to have an issue with edges. They really do. They like anything that is sort of neither here nor there, sort of circle. They don't like the beginning. They don't like, even if they do talk about the beginning or the end, they talk things that are mind-boggling stuff. You understand? They like a million years ago, there was something, what? Turtle, right? And there's some pig comes and later that pig will destroy and all of that mind-boggling stuff. It's like amazing craft, I have to say. It's like, if you lie, might as well lie nicely. Really, with a purpose. You have to. It's like this. It's called skillful means, upaya. The moment Indians use concept like a upaya, that is already saying, hey, you guys, I'm about to lie. But I'm of course not going to tell you I'm going to lie because, it's a skillful means. So anyway, Tikle in that level. But also, Tikle can be also understood as Bodhicitta. Okay? And Bodhicitta can be understood in many different levels. One very fundamental one is wishing that all sentient beings see the truth. That is a very important one because to wish everybody to be happy, to wish everybody to be free from suffering, that's good, that's really good, but it's very, very goody-goody. You understand? But what you really want is you should want everybody see the truth. That is like really, that's so important. That one has not much of a, what do you call it? May all beings be, yeah. You see, I was saying earlier, how would it would be so nice if in our schools they have, oh, you should be philanthropic, you should be kind to others, you should not harm others. Of course, that we teach. But also if in our schools, for the children, if we already make them think, you should wish other people to see the truth. Yourself also, of course. That is a supreme wish. So that is sometimes referred as Tigle, Changshu, And then many other, like in the Tantra, the word Tigle also refers to so many other things, sometimes even symbolized by a circle drop. And then the second question was individualism. Oh, that's, read Heart Sutra. It's in there. Individualism, all taken care of very well. Yes. Okay.
Rinpoche, can you explain again with the mahayana teaching, to liberate all sentient beings is equal to liberating one?
Because one and all is a projection, distinctions. It's an education we have received. And the education, intellectual education that we have received became solid. There's some really solid example for this. I'm trying to remember. There's so many. But anyway, one and all. 1, 2, 3, all of that. Oh, by the way, didn't I tell you? Did the Indians really create zero? Are you sure? Give me a proof.
There is a temple in Rajasthan with a zero.
Really? Okay, well, you see, I told you, didn't I? Indians never really like anything to do with edges and ends and, they like zero. What do you think? They're so proud that they... Shunya, right? What, shuni? Shune. Zero. Now there you go. Even, they were like... But that's a concept, right? Concept. So if you can understand that, it's really well illustrated in a sutra called Avatamsaka Sutra, when a bodhisattva, in search for a teacher of non-duality, he ends up meeting this baby teacher who teaches him numbers. And then finally he realizes that the numbers means nothing. I think something like that. Size, like quantities, all these are projection. Okay. Who was it? Yeah, please.
Rinpoche, would you talk a little bit more about alaya? Because how to find the bones in the other breaker seems kind of more comprehensible to me.
I'm trying to save it for this afternoon or tomorrow. Otherwise, I will run out of things to say. But this is a really dry and boring and really difficult one. But we will talk about it. It's important, alaya. What does alaya means in Hindi? Store. Huh. You call yourself, your store alaya?
No, I didn't call it in that context. So I call
But in colloquial Hindi language, how do they say alaya? Abode.
like in Himalaya, the alaya is taken from there.
Okay.
Pustakalaya.
Pustakaliya. Okay. It's an important one. Okay, abode. Yeah.
Thank you for being here, Rinpoche. My question is, when we see something dying that we feel the impulse to save, or that we feel is worth saving, I think this kind of relates to the pollution and earth environmental question, but also such as like a dharma center or something like that. With what attitude should we go into the project of saving something or creating something new?
Important question. Very important. Classic Buddhist answer. Like a mother playing with kids. Kids playing with toys, sandcastles, believing in all that. Mother will also go along with that. But when it is time for bed, when it is time to eat, when the baby is getting close to some danger, mother has no qualms in stopping the baby to stop whatever the baby is doing. This is classic Mahayana. It's there. So, by all means, we need to, with a good motivation, just like the mother to the baby, child, good motivation, save, nurture, organize, so on and so forth. But all along, also, yourself and the kids to never forget from the reality that nothing is going to be fixed. So even on the Sharvakayana level, remember impermanence, illusory, etc., etc. So that's one answer for you. The other answer, which is probably more important, this may be a little bit technical, but I think you should hear it. So, a disciple asks a teacher, if everything is an illusion, nothing exists, right? Then why should we practice dharma? Why should we make offerings of lamp and incense and flowers, etc., etc.? Master's advises, as long if you skip lunch or dinner and if you still feel hungry, that means you haven't gotten rid of your habitual patterns. as long as you have the habitual patterns, you still need to go through all these practices. So it's a bit like, until you are awakened from that dream, even though you know you are dreaming, which is already good, by the way, much, much better than you don't even know you are dreaming. But it is possible that dream force is so strong, the order and the logic of the dream still is there, then depending on how matured you are. So in the dream, while in the dream, you have to sort of finish the dream, so something like that. You have to sort of play, glide with the dream, depending on how matured you are, even though you know you are dreaming. So this is the classic answer. Okay.
Namaste, Rinpoche. Thank you so much for a precious teaching. I hear that you are an emanation of Lord Manjushri. Would you like to tell that how the person is chosen as an emanation, or he becomes an emanation of someone? Thank you.
How the emanation works? Did you say? How emanation works? Okay. How chosen? Also chosen? Okay. In my case, it's very easy. Have you we talked about karma. So there are a lot of people who have a lot of karmic debt with me. You understand? Probably long time ago, I must be a big fish that collectively so many bugs eat this fish. So these bugs are in debt with me. You understand? So because of that, these people who are beings who are indebted with me, they chose. You understand? They chose, he's the emanation of the Manjushri. I'm serious. It's a bit like, actually, a lot of people from Wyoming and Dakota people chosen Donald Trump. They thought he's a good leader. It's a bit like that. Actually, I'm very, very close to him. I mean, he has done so many wrong things, he's still walking free. I'm quite amazed, like, why I'm still roaming around free. Even sometimes when I show my people some skeleton from my closet, because I actually do it with a little bit of this strategy that I better show a little bit before they found everything. But when I show a little bit, instead of really making them become sober, they actually interpret this, see? I told you, he's emanation of Manjushri. It doesn't work. It's called karmic debt. So that's how it is. It's really like that. Very good. Okay, so maybe I will answer all the questions, but maybe after this I will do just one, and then I will come back to you later. Okay? Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about how to practice in the traditional grounds, like giving food to the animals and people, mingling with the Maoris and
yes.
people cook vegetarian
Oh, so many ways. I'm sure like him and him probably, those who have received Anuyoga Tantra initiations, I don't know how they practice, they probably must be just reading the text. I do this all the time. Every morning I do, I think 3 times. Sakyapa tradition, Drupa Gajupa tradition, all of that. We have the whole text to read. And there we arise ourselves in the middle of the 8 channel ground all the time, only on the visualization level. If even one of those snakes turn up, I'll be freaking out. Yes. But this we do. It's in the sadhana, basically. So is that how you wanted to do it? Or then, okay, so it's an important question. So, because it's actually related to what I was going to continue with. So, okay, so based on your question, so now there's 8 consciousness, 8 cemeteries you have been hearing. All these are very brief. My purpose of this time, I just want generally everyone, but especially the Indians, I just want them to know that, hey, you should not be just flaunting your Nalanda and the Otendapuri and Takshila and all that. You have something else which you are forgetting. Actually, you have forgotten a lot. These 8 cemeteries. Some of the graduates are just amazing, such as Humkara. Have you ever heard? This great, he's the graduate from the I think it's a cemetery called Kili Kili, Humkara. Humkara means, I think, the maker of the hum kara, or the holder, or the kara, like maker of the hum. Okay, so there's 8 different Vidyadharas. By the way, Nagarjuna is one of them. Now, this is interesting. Not only Nagarjuna, there's a few others, but Nagarjuna, he's like, what do you call it? Double PhD, sometimes, right? You get a PhD in Yale and you get a PhD in Harvard with the 2 different subjects. He's a bit like that. Nalanda, of course. But Tantrikas, okay, he's a graduate from Nalanda, but it's not a big deal. But he was graduated from, this I can't find. I've been searching, but anyway, one of the, I think most probably what is it? Cool Grove, near Bodhgaya. Not the one right next to the Mahabodhi temple. There's another one. I think it's called Cool Grove. In Tibetan we call it Silvitsal. Silvitsal, meaning cool forest. That's a big one. You can visit this. I'm sure some of you have been already. Yes, that's it. Yes. Very good. Yes. And then Prabhahasti, that's another one. I'll just throw in some names. And then mighty Vimala Mitra. No, Vimala Kirti. No. Vimala Mitra, sorry. Vimala Mitra. Wow. That's a big one. Parabhasti, that's, and then Shenting Garbha. These are Vidyadharas, meaning these are like really important figure who come from these 8 cemeteries. And now, borrowing from the Nyingma tradition, Nyingma lineage, it is also believed that Guru Padmasambhava, why Guru Padmasambhava is so considered very, very special, is because some of the Nyingma Pasu would say, Guru Padmasambhava actually studied with these 8 Vidyadharas of the 8 cemeteries, visiting each and every 8 cemeteries. So this is why because it's like treasuring that value. It's like, here is something to, I don't know. The Tibetan word is nye, nye. Druba nye, nye, nye. Where's Jurme? Druba nye, druba top. Nye, nye is something like acquire. And this is important because you go to Nalanda to learn. But you go to, let's say, one of these cemetery, not necessarily to learn. There's no books. Books are for kindergartens, remember? Logic? What's that? That's like for bugs. Like really low-level people. If you are up for it, you go to these cemeteries. I guess the best word is maybe experience. To just I don't know, to realize, to experience. There's a beautiful story of Guru Rinpoche, Guru Padmasambhava, going to one of these cemeteries to meet, I think it was Hunkara, I'm getting mixed up. And usually these people, they don't have billboards. They don't have plaques. They're just hiding somewhere. And usually they love creating scandals because they don't want people to, they want only the best of the best. If you have a good reputation among the ordinary people, only mediocre you will get it. Mediocre people, okay, let's say I have something so amazing to offer that is only understood, can be only understood by the most excellent mind. Now, I don't want to waste time with the mediocre. So, but the mediocres are all looking for credentials. Mediocres are all, like plaques, credentials, histories. Oh, so-and-so studied here and there. Oh, so-and-so is trained by this and that. Mediocres are always staying away from people who have scandals. So what do these people do? They create scandals. They live like a chipaki turjuk. It's in the Tibetan word, chidam paki turjuk, meaning turjuk is a charya, turjuk, charya. They have the charya or the attitude or the living style of dogs and pigs. So they are ignored. So they're basically hiding, right? Hiding. I guess hiding is the... So there's a beautiful story about Guru Parnasambhava in search for this Hunkara, and many months, miles, and finally reaching to this cemetery, and but couldn't really find where he is, Hunkara. And there's always this woman who comes in the afternoon or something to fetch water, and she sort of disappears in the forest. And in the village, people sort of say that she is the partner and the attendant and the disciple of this Hunkara. So Guru Rinpoche next time approach this lady, and I think the story goes something like, when Guru Rinpoche approached her, like sort of this attitude like, oh, I want to meet your teacher, meaning not you, your teacher, there's that distinctions. And immediately she took out curved knife and slash her chest and show the 100 peaceful and wrathful deities. The whole deities to him, and supposedly that is the Abhisheka. And Guru Rinpoche, I don't know, the experience or whatever, got everything. And anyway, she said, okay, now you are ready to go because you are initiated. So basically, she was the guru also. So she introduced to, so there's that. Prabhahasti, I'm very fond of him. Prabhahasti became so popular in Tibet. Nagarjuna, we all know. Vimala Mitra, some of us know. Prabhahasti, from the Prabhahasti, great Vidyadhara Prabhahasti came all the teachings of Vajrakilaya, which is now practices the Vajrakilaya, so much treasured by the Tibetans, especially promoted or enhanced, or I don't know, made it available by Dakini Yeshe Tsogyal. So, 8 Vidyadharas. Okay? Just want to put that in your head. Now, then there's something called 8 bodhisattvas. Manjushri, Avalokiteshvara, so on and so forth. Usually in the Mahayana, they talk about 8 bodhisattvas in a certain way. Very sober, kind of relatable bodhisattvas. Like Manjushri, something related to wisdom. Avalokiteshvara, something related to compassion. Samantabhadra, related to aspiration, etc. But these 8 bodhisattvas, once when it is taught within the tantric context, then they function differently. Just very briefly, I can the function of the 8 bodhisattvas also, according to different tantra, comes in a different way. But I think I'd like to just mention this because it's something that will make you understand how sophisticated. Okay, so in the tantra, 8 bodhisattvas. Let's choose Avalokiteshvara. Avalokiteshvara which many lamas also would say is also Mahadeva, appearing as a Mahadeva, Shiva. Okay, so Avalokiteshvara. So what is Avalokiteshvara? It's ear consciousness, nothing else. Ear consciousness. Now, in the tantric context, Avalokiteshvara, Mahadeva, is always in union with his consort, inseparable. Well, in the Buddhist Tantra, many different names. Sometimes Bandaravasi Dakini, sometimes Gauri. But I think maybe popularly in India, you may be referring her as Parvati or Uma, all of that. Many names, But now this is very interesting. You need to make a note of this. Every time you are hearing something, there is a union of the Avalokiteshvara and his consort, Bandaravasi. That is the only thing that is happening. So, in this way, Tantrikas can afford to say, even listening to a bird chirping is a sadhana, because it is none other than act between the, one of the bodhisattva and his consort. And of course, this is a very brief introduction for you, because, as I said, I wanted to tell you this because what do you call medical doctors who are expert in ear infections? ENT? Okay. And the eye disease? Anyway, and then psychology, all this psychology thing that we are discussing, if only we can understand the life and the body through this. We are hearing. Just now we had a motorcycle. Who is hearing? What is happening that time? Where is it dissolving? Where is it arising from? So, a very brief, again, study of life, so-called life. So, from the Indian wisdom tradition, you want to study life? You study channel ground. You need to study Mahashamashana, Shamshan. And then actually, the word Bhumi, Shamshan Bhumi, kind of important because the word Bhumi refers to the ground, which I think we will discuss maybe later. Alaya, ground, abode, storeroom, Bhumi. Okay, we have maybe one or two question time for one or two questions. Prashant here.
I was wondering about the eight consciousnesses that you said were in an unfortunate balance. I was wondering, I feel like in day-to-day life they're very imbalanced, which is what makes life so samsaric, where there's too much mental consciousness or too much focus on visual consciousness. So there's this imbalance, or we hear a sound and all the attention goes to that sound without our awareness or control, and it feels like the imbalanced or the loss of that is is more balanced. It feels more balanced. So I'm wondering. I was getting a little confused in that.
It makes sense, isn't it? Why people do vipassana? Of course, vipassana, many different degrees. Or shamatha. I deliberately use the words like, unfortunately you are balanced. In the context that when it is balanced, you are making your comfort zone more stable. Now, let's say, as someone who is seeking the higher truth, we are supposedly getting out of this comfort zone. So on that context, I'm saying, unfortunately, we are balanced. It makes sense, Basically, from the tantric point of view, sensibility is such a bad thing. It really deceives you because it makes sense. And it keeps on making sense. Sometimes it doesn't make sense, and then you will immediately call somebody and swallow some pills. And then again it will make sense. It's like this. So from this point of view, this zone, really, nirvana is the worst thing that can happen. You don't want. Nirvana is really not good. Let's just bliss out. Let's just be, blissful in ignorance. But then the problem is, it doesn't stay long. well, let's save it for later, but then the alaya also, it's a bit like gray hair and the henna, right? Henna color. No matter how much you color it, after a few days gray hair comes out. So there is this side, no matter how much we numb ourselves, entertain ourselves, distract ourselves. Now this is a little bit ironic. No matter how distracted and how defiled we are, many times this alaya just comes out and it really makes you feel like, is this all there is? And it's called depression, I think, by the people. And instead of really making a most out of that depression, they swallow pills or entertain themselves or subscribe to Netflix. And then again, this depression sort of subside. I'm really talking really confusing, but this is a little deliberate because as I was reading some of these texts, that's how they talk. And it's a different way of looking. What is it that you value? I'm assuming that you are here because you want to hear about moksha. You want to be liberated. You want to be free. Now, from that point of view, then I'm using the words like, unfortunately, you are balanced. That's the only reason. Of course, now, as a, we should, eat well. We should be balanced. We should do yoga, all of that. Yes, I think it will come.
I think that includes myself, but in my ear, I hear is actually it's true also for myself because every individual have.
Are you talking about what? I think, therefore I am, or something like that? Who said that? Descartes. Are you talking about that?
Yes. So in my ear is true was there is a self because every individual say the different things, but just to have a common sense. So I think that's the third most difficult things because you said.
Maybe, yeah. That's why Descartes was stuck. Really. I think, therefore I am. If Jigme Lingpa was there, said, do you know? You think because you think you think. That would have been done. What is it?
It's not complete. I doubt, therefore I think, therefore I am.
Therefore I doubt.
It's the whole quote.
Okay, I doubt.
Not simply saying I think, therefore I am, and therefore I exist, but because I have a doubt.
It's in French, right? Isn't he French, that guy?
Yes, but that's the full quote. We shorten it.
Thank you, Rinpoche. So my question is, in this life of samsara, of life and death, if the goal is liberation, then why aren't we born liberated?
Why?
Why aren't we born liberated? So I keep saying that. Then why we again have to go through the whole thing?
Exactly what we been discussing. At exactly what we have been discussing. I mean, a very twisted answer for this is because you think you are not liberated. That's why we need to practice.
Thank you, Rinpoche. Rinpoche, the example that you just gave of air consciousness, so taking that, could you just say a little bit more about
how, for example, unbalancing the pure consciousness can help us, can remind us or make us become
Okay.
more aware of our Buddha nature.
But important question. I don't think we will be talking about this a lot, but briefly. So then there's a whole, path to understand, let's say, Avalokiteshvara. So there's a Upanikrama, Sampanikrama practices. So basically, there's a whole lot of mind training. So, okay, very briefly. Once you train yourself, which is not that hard actually, but anyway, once you train this method, then, see, right now, we hear pressure cooker, I think. See? Because my mind is trained to think it's a pressure cooker. Let's say 40 years ago, if I'm hearing this, I would not know. I would not know how to term it as a pressure cooker. I would not know. I would think it's a bug, maybe. It's an insect. So, now, in the Tantra, the whole concept of sadhana is to train your mind to hear it as a mantra. This is the fundamental of the mantra. Now that does not mean I'm saying pressure cooker will suddenly say, Om Mani Padme, Om Mani Padme, Om Mani Padme. You understand? It's your projection, how you hear. Now accordingly, right now, pressure cooker, potato, rice, you understand? Hunger, lunchtime, all that, you understand? So if you have trained you to think it as a mantra, then you have a different kind of distinctions. As a, I guess, bliss, emptiness, that's the term we use. But further than that, I think it's really, really big subject. But there is still teachings on that alive today, at least on the intellectual level, and I think also there are a lot of practitioners. Just, yogis. It's not really like, what do you call it? What's the expression, weed out? Weed out? What does that mean? Take out, filter. Maybe it's not the weeding out, it's like hearing it in a different way. The sound of the pressure cooker. And that's very possible, actually. That you can achieve if put some effort, 2-3 years, I would say. Okay. So we are only talking about one consciousness, right? So now imagine you actually work with whole eight consciousness. You travel with the whole 8 channel grounds in one go. We are now talking about the highest form of the vipassana. It's also called sadhana. So, 6:30?
Yes.
And hopefully we talk about 8 consciousness a little bit more. We will concentrate a little bit more on ego and then alaya. Yes, ego. And then also story of Rudra, kind of important for understanding the whole concept of channel ground, Rudra. What does it mean? It means something like a howler. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, sometimes Shiva is also referred as a Rudra, right? Rudra. Okay. It's very similar here. So we will talk a little bit about the idea of Rudra and relate it. Just please remind me if I skip. Why, you must have noticed skeleton, skull crown, skull garland, and ashes. Here, ashes. Very, very, very important symbol of Shamashana, these ashes. People don't do these things anymore, but still, if you understand, maybe it's more, I don't know, it's like why should we only have red lips? We should have nice white forehead, It's a very beautiful ornament. Okay. We take break now.